Let's talk about customizing the quantitation engine specifically in terms of bracketing. And I will define bracketing as a different association between the samples and the calibration samples. Typically, we associate all the calibration samples together and apply them to all the samples that are in a batch. Bracketing is slightly different than that. I'll give you a very, very brief description of bracketing here. Bracketing is often applied to reduce the uncertainty of the calibration curve that's applied to a particular sample. That allows you to make an argument, for example, in this case, that the sample here has been bracketed by calibration standards that were run just before and just after that sample, and make the argument that the variation associated with applying the calibration curve has been reduced. Let me cover this particular example and the application of averaged bracketing, I'll call it. In this case, I'm going to take the average of the first set of calibration samples and the second set of calibration samples and create a calibration curve using that set and apply it to this block of samples here. This I'll call averaged calibration bracketing. Again, if we do the same process and look at the samples that have been run here, the block would include the calibration samples above, and any QCs, of course, and the calibration samples below. In this case, I've run levels 1, 2, and 3, but would include whatever levels have been run and create a calibration curve from the set of calibration samples, again, above and below, averaging those and applying them to the sample set that is in between, i.e. bracketed. Now, in our particular design, each sample contains its own calibration points, which makes this work very well because these samples end up with a different set of calibration points than the samples above. And I will demonstrate that a moment in the application. Right, let's take a look at bracketing in batch at a glance. First, let me just clear this. I will go and clear the calibration for all the compounds. Now I have no calibration table. Next, I will make sure that the samples are ordered in acquisition date time here. And I'll take a look at what I've got. I've got some samples here that are bracketed blank and sample, and again, sample, bracketed by cals and QCs. So let me analyze the batch, and I'll just walk you through what we've got. Let's focus first on the blank. As you can see, I've got a cal at level 1, a cal at level 2, and a QC at level 2 on top. And on the bottom of the blank and the sample, which share the same calibration, I've got a cal level 3. So let me just point those out here. Here's the level 3 at the bottom. Here is the level 2 and the QC. And there is level 1. So that describes the calibration points that are used to quantitate this set, blank and sample. Next, let's take a look at the samples in the next bracket. So I've got a sample here and a sample here, again, sharing the same calibration points. I've got cal level 3 on top, and I've got QC and at level 4, and a cal at level 4, and a cal at level 5. So let's take a look at the calibration curve that's used for these particular samples. There's level 5. And if I zoom in on levels 3 and 4, I can see there's level 4 calibration point, there's the QC at level 4, and last there is the level 3 that came on top in the bracketing situation. So that's a walkthrough of how this would work with overlapped bracketing scenario in this special.
I'd like to clarify how to turn this feature on in the product. If I go over to the method editor and I go to Globals Setup in the method setup tasks, you'll see that there's an option of bracketing type. And if I go there and choose overlapped, then you will see the behavior that has been described that is a form of quantitation using bracketing. Thank you very much.